You know how I know we're ready to start the podcast? Because a helicopter just flew over and the people across the street are starting to mow the lawn. So right on cue. It's it's perfect.
Bingo.
By the way, if any of our listeners need a blanket, our dog is shedding like crazy. So I hate to just throw away all that. Like if we could put together a blanket for pretty much all our listeners, I think, as well. But welcome to episode, what did you say, babe?
64.
64. Yeah. And of course, we want to thank Mac Powell and the Family Reunion right at the top because we're professional for our theme song and give us our inspiration for woo moments. You want to jump right into it with our woo moments, or what do you want to do?
Well, I want to give them a little caveat on how we're recording so they're patient with us and they don't turn it off.
Yeah. So we're recording this through Zoom because we are apart. I'm actually grateful. I wasn't grateful until about 30 seconds ago when you showed me that you were eating coconut, which I think is like toenails and tree bark, but you seem to like it. So I'm glad if you're going to eat coconut, I'm glad you do it on your vacation trips away from me. So
Vacation, yes.
yeah,
Only on vacation.
yeah. You're on vacation, right?
No.
What did you do this morning?
Vacation.
You woke up?
Vacation involves a beach, no children, no feces.
There was some sand, I'm sure, involved if you cleaned it up right. Aren't you supposed to sprinkle sand over it? Or
That's a great idea, actually. Actually, cat litter. I should do that.
yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's a great idea. I'll do that after we podcast.
You got to tell the listeners about your morning, or is that part of your woo or poo moments?
Oh,
Probably your woo.
I can do whatever. You're in charge. You tell me.
No. You're driving this ship, baby. This was your idea to podcast.
It was my idea. So I'm dog sitting for my parents out at their ranch, and they have a beautiful, sweet, perfect lab, and then they have a very cantankerous puppy. What is she?
Annoying.
Yeah, she's super cute, but it's like babysitting a 2-year-old that has never been disciplined.
Your parents definitely have a type that they like to raise.
I don't.
Again, we're apart, so I can say stuff like that.
I don't think you're referring to me. I think I was the perfect one out of the 5. But anywho, I'm definitely disciplined.
And housebroken.
And housebroken. So for the most part. So the dog has been totally fine. Both of them have, really, just energetic. And 2 days ago, the sweet little perfect lab decided to get stomach problems, and I don't really know what happened or how to stop it.
I did some research.
2 days.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I did some research, and I think he has what's called pooptinitis, where it's nonstop. It's kind of like a Pez dispenser. There's boom, 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 boom.
It's bad, and I'm not like super weenie when it comes to just stuff. Like I just whatever, I can deal with it. Which will go into my woo moment in a minute. But this has just been like day after day, and I'm worried about the dog, even though the vet said, like, if she's happy. I did call the vet this morning, and she's like, if she's eating, if she's happy, I'm like, oh no, her disposition is great. It's just mine that's bad. So
if she's smiling the whole time she's squatting, like,
yeah, she feels better, I guess, but it's been in the house, it's been on the back porch, like it's just so much I can't describe to you. Maybe it's just God's way of making me grateful for teenagers, because this is extreme. It's a good diet though, because I haven't eaten anything but dates and coconut for the past 2 days. So
yeah, there's phrases that I don't ever think that I'd hear you say, and you said on the phone this morning, I can't get the smell out of my nose. And I was like, oh, that's got to be a quick weight loss program there.
Stings the nostrils.
Yeah, so that was your morning. So maybe vacation is the wrong word.
That's a strong word. That's a strong word. I am doing my duty.
Oh, I see what you did there.
with the dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been my morning. That I scheduled the podcast though prior to that, so I feel like, get behind me, Satan. Like nothing's gonna hold me back from podcasting. So I
Yeah.
got tested on that this morning. I did make the trip into town. That's what we say here when you have to drive 20 miles to the nearest gas station. So I made the trip into town and got medicine and kolaches. So we're
I hope you don't mix those
gonna
up.
be running it. I hope the kolaches were prepared in a sanitary way.
Yeah. So, okay, so that was your morning. You woke up and the dog was making soft serve. And then, so what other woo moments do you have?
Well, that would go in my poo moment category. Sorry. Woo moments. We have been apart, which we'll talk about later, but I had the opportunity to take our youngest, Mason, who is 11 and a half, on a camping trip. And if you know anything about camping, it's fairly hot here in Texas right now, and we had planned to tent camp on the river. And I'm tough, I got it, we got a fan, whatever, we can shower in the river. But at the last minute, my parents offered their little RV to us. The only caveat was I had to leave my Jeep here for my dad to drive around, which is a huge risk, and I had to drive my dad's truck and pull it 2.5 hours and set it all up on my own. So we did a little run through. I've pulled a travel trailer before, almost twice the size. So I felt confident about it, but nervous because anytime you borrow anything from your parents, it's like,
Yeah.
breaking your stuff is one thing. Breaking dad's stuff is like,
He called me and he made me leave a credit card deposit down. So I don't think that
he was real confident.
Yeah, his confidence level wasn't too much. But he is our State Farm rep, so
that's true. That's true. He'll help us. He's helped us file many claims. I guess he could do it again.
We have become a file claiming family lately.
Mm-hmm.
We filed on 3 vehicles,
mm-hmm.
quite a bit. And I thought I was going to have to. Actually, this might be a woo moment I never even thought about, but I had a show where I flew into St. Louis and then I drove to, I think, Ohio about 3 weeks ago. And I got my rental car and I got back to the hotel about 1:30 a.m. and had to get up at like 5 to go return the rental car and fly home. And when I pulled the rental car into the rental car place, one of the workers walked up and he's like, "Man, you got swiped." And I was like, "What?" And I walked around to the back of the car and somebody had swiped the back of the car. I guess in the middle of the night, like pulling into the hotel or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh man, because I've been renting cars for 22 years and never had a problem. And so I was like, what do I do? And they were like, we'll take your information, we'll figure it out and contact you. And whenever I was filling out the information, they were like, man, that's so sorry that people do that. And I was like, yeah. And then now I'm going to be stuck with it. And he's like, well, we'll see what we can do. And I haven't heard from them at all. So I'm assuming, but I was thinking that was going to be our 4th claim. And there's only like 3 rental cars in the United States right now, evidently. So I felt bad that I wrecked one. So.
Well, I think wreck is a strong word.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Like
they probably buffed out.
That's what I'm thinking. Is they probably were like, okay, let's see what we can do, and they buffed it out, and because it wasn't like dented in, it just was definitely scraped. Like somebody had a fun night and was trying to get back to the hotel, is what it looked like. So,
well, did you have fun?
It was a blast. I mean, I don't remember most of it, but no, it was I definitely didn't need coffee that morning because as soon as I heard him say like, "Oh man, somebody swiped you," like my heart rate was up, and I was like, because shows are opening back up, I'm making a little bit of money now, and I was like, like there goes my profit for the whole weekend. And so that's kind of a woo moment, is I feel like that was a blessing, like a very silent blessing, not hearing from them.
So how's that lawnmower and pool vacuum?
Lawnmower's great. Pool vacuum is very quiet. I would say almost non-existent.
Like, speaking of all the dough you're making.
Yeah. So our pool vacuum broke, so I had to. We're gonna have to order one, and the lawnmower we just got fixed, but the lawn had grown for about 3 weeks, and so I was mowing yesterday, and I had to mow like a little strip, and then back up, and then a little. So it took me like 2.5 hours to mow the lawn. It was so bad, but we got 8 bales of hay out of it, so I think it was worth
Yeah.
it if we can sell
Yeah.
those.
I was gonna say, I could roll that. I know how to do that now.
I don't know how much the need for round bales are in the woodlands. I don't see a lot of people. I don't see a lot on the Nextdoor app. I don't see people posting anything like.
Yeah, the Starbucks will buy them for the pumpkin spice latte pictures here in a few months.
Oh, that's right. We just got to wait. We got to.
Christmas stage set. The holiday stage settings. They might need them on their stage, like churches and stuff.
Mm-hmm. They're good for archery. So, we gotta repost that pumpkin video that we made when we first met, because that was really funny, and I have a lot more followers now, so I think it'll get some traction. But that was really good.
I have a lot more followers,
and you have 3 more. We got your mom to be in it, where she's just sitting on a rocking chair, just petting a pumpkin, like it was a support pumpkin.
Yeah, I don't know how we did that.
Oh, she nailed it. It was so funny. Yeah, we'll post that. Maybe we'll post that on the Hook, Line, and Smiley Instagram when this comes out tomorrow.
I think she thought you had like 2 followers.
It was so great.
I think she thought you had a day job still at that point. Like the comedy was a hobby.
Yeah, your parents took it pretty well that I was a comedian, and that had not been the case before, so it was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, your vocation was the least of their worries.
Yeah.
That was in the plus column.
Yeah. It was like, how many kids do you have? What?
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, any other woo? Oh, here's another woo moment. It's my dad's birthday today. So huge shout out to Facebook for letting me know this morning. No, that's not true. It's totally not true, but
it kind of is.
No, it's not.
It is, Bob Smiley.
No, here is what's funny is, like, I remembered it a couple of days ago, and then I was like, oh, I need, I had an idea that, because he's hard to shop for because he has everything now,
right?
And we just had Father's Day, so I got him some books that I think he would really enjoy reading and stuff. And then I was like, kind of racking my brain, like, what do I get him? Because he really has just been the best dad. And so I was like, and then I thought, well, I'll get him an Amazon gift card so he can go and pick whatever, he wanted to get for himself. And maybe it'd be fun just to be able to look at stuff that maybe he'd never buy for himself, but now he's got, like it's a gift money. And but then I totally forgot last night. I was going to set it up to send to him early this morning. And so when I got up and like I was making a video and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, it's my dad's birthday. And now I can't remember why I started that.
We were going to get a gift card for him. You can still do it. It's instantaneous.
No, I already did it. Like I did it right then. But, oh, that's what I started to say. So I came out of the bedroom and Xander was coming down, getting ready to go to football practice. And, he's like a zombie in the morning. Like, and he's got this long hair that covers his face. And he's like, he's 6'3", and he's like walking down the stairs. And I was like, good morning, Xander. And he's so not a morning person. He's like, and I was like, hey, it's Pawpaw's birthday. And he goes, yeah, I know, I already texted him. And that little sucker was already on it. Like I was really impressed. I was like, how'd you know it was his birthday? And he was like, because he's my pawpaw and he's awesome. So we at least did one, we raised one kid right.
He didn't remember Father's Day, but he remembered your dad's birthday. That's good.
Yeah, priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other woo moments is I am back to traveling. Last week was kind of insane. My fall's still a ghost town, so we're not out of the woods, but last week I had 5 shows and the travel schedule was insane. Like at one point I pulled into the Columbus airport and because I only had like 3 hours. So it wasn't worth spending money on a hotel, or maybe it's like 4 or 5 hours. But I pulled into the underground parking at the airport at the rental car return and slept in my car. And all I could think about as I leaned my seat back in this brightly lit, like they had, of course, they had the huge like flood lamps where you could do, eye surgery if you needed to. And I laid the seat back and I was like, okay, just a couple hours sleep and then I'll drag my bags in. And my only thought was, I bet John Chris is on his tour bus sleeping, like just being rocked to sleep by the rhythm of the tour bus. I was like, man. So, but I was just grateful to be back out and, traveling, and all my new stuff is good. And I was talking to another comedian the other day and I was like, we've got a renewed appreciation for just being able to stand on the stage and, and just make people laugh. And like, I missed it so much. So that's kind of my other woo moment.
That's great.
Yeah. And so what about you, babe? You look so good. It's kind of making me get distracted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to come home.
I brushed my hair and my teeth this morning.
What? I hope you didn't get those mixed up.
I hosed my whole self off too in disinfectant after how I woke up. But I do have another woo moment. Dylan, our 15-year-old, went to church camp, and I picked him up and brought him straight here to the ranch because just how the schedule worked out instead of driving to Houston. But anyway, he got in the car and he was super tired, of course, and dehydrated and all that stuff. And he's like, I just want to go to sleep. He sat in the back. I just want to go to sleep. That's fine. That's fine. We have an hour drive. That's fine. And every, I don't know, about 40 seconds, he would pop his head up with something else to tell us about camp. And so it was really cute that even in his like sleep deprivation and heat exhaustion, he was excited about it. And the two things I told him were to have fun and to learn something new about God, like that just for him, that relates to him. And so he kind of got in the car and just said that, like he said so much about all the stuff, fun stuff, his friends and everything. And then he started talking about what the camp pastor taught on all week, which was Paul. And did you know this? And did you know that? And it's just crazy. Like, I mean, he really soaked it up, which if you know Dylan, knowledge retention is not his forte. And so it was just really encouraging that he had a positive time. And
that's so great. And he because can we talk about that? He's getting ready to be baptized. So he's been doing studies and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we would take him to the church to meet with people. And when I'd pick him up, he was the same way, like just super excited about finding out about the disciples and, just stories from the Bible that he had not read before, like some obscure stuff. And he's just so when he locks in on something, he locks in 100%. And it was really exciting to, finally, because I have all this Bible knowledge and there's nobody at the house I can talk to about it. So it was nice to have. I miss you.
I can't say the same, actually, at this moment. Where'd you get that shirt? Every time I see you have a new shirt on.
Because I did 5 shows, I felt like I could treat myself. And so I spent $12 on, Woot. Woot, for the listeners, for you smilers out there, Woot.com is it's like a garage sale for companies. So when they want to move a lot of product or something, they'll put it on Woot and do some kind of discount. And every night at midnight, Woot will send out what their specials are. And there's just a limited amount. And if you get one, you get one. But it's Ultimate 80s Deathmatch. And then it's got all the things from the 80s on there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. In fact, I did a TikTok video the other day. And one of the comments was, I had to watch this 3 times before I listened to anything you said because I was busy looking at your shirt. And I was like, oh, that's a good shirt because
I got that a lot. I got that a lot when I was single.
Yeah, I bet you did.
What's your name again? I wasn't listening.
First 3 months we dated, I thought you were mute.
Yeah. 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 I think we were married before you knew my middle name.
Yeah.
Or that I even had eyeballs.
Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live skit where
No,
the
I don't watch
alien?
that show.
What?
I said, no, I don't watch that show.
Hey, we're videoing, so be okay.
What?
You gotta be.
I'm in a really like old chair and it's like not comfortable.
Yeah, you really are kind of like Little House on the Prairie right now
Yeah, look at that wood paneling.
in your little farmhouse and out there. But there was okay, and this might be a little
The
risque,
only thing farming is dog do, so get me out of here.
but it's a bumper crop. You're having a bumper year.
Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
There was yeah, I don't think this would be too offensive, but there was a Saturday Night Live skit where these women aliens came down. And of course, they were super hot, and but their eyes, like they had these glasses that blocked their eyes because they didn't have eyes. Well, they did, but their eyes were lower on around the chest area. And so that was where their eyes were. And so they came down, and the whole gist of the SNL skit was they came down to tell us like how to cure cancer and how to fight global warming with just some easy steps. And they had all these answers, and all the scientists could do was ask questions about, that was when it's colder, can you see better? And stuff like that. Like that's all they could concentrate on. And so, yeah, does that remind you of your old dating life?
No, no, that's a funny story though.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we have been apart. That's a.
Yeah. So my poo moment was the dogs, like the dog getting sick.
Yeah.
We really have been okay out here besides that. But the separation anxiety, and I'm not just talking about Molly with my dad and Reba with my dad, like those
Those are
dogs.
the dogs for the listeners.
They definitely have Reba. I mean, they definitely have separation anxiety. My parents are, my dad especially. And if you know him, he's like a big John Wayne, Texan, rough and tough guy. And you see him with this dog, and it's like a babe, like it's ridiculous. The codependency is a real thing. So we did kind of have to work her through that. But I have separation anxiety from you.
Well, I hope you're not reacting the same way the dog is.
No. I wish I'd lose some weight, but no. No.
Yeah, it's been so you went camping for a week, and then I guess it wasn't last week that I had 5 shows. It was the week before, because I was on the road for the week, and then you left and went camping for a week. And then I had a couple more shows, but then and now you've been at the farm for a week. So it's like it's almost like 3 weeks solid. It's kind of remember we first started dating, and you lived in Galveston and I lived in the Woodlands, and so we were 73 miles apart, and so we would just like go, like a couple of weeks without seeing each other. We kind of put an end to that because we realized, oh, we can drive. We're like grown-ups. So
yeah, you did. No, we both did.
You did too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I remember like flying out and like super tired early in the morning, and you called me and you're like, when are you getting to the airport? And I told you, and you were like, okay, I'm gonna meet you first. And remember, like, we met in that little diner.
Oh yeah, that was, yeah, I left early for work and just met you before work.
Yeah.
You.
We
And I
found
had coffee.
But yeah, it does feel like we're kind of back to social distance dating, if that's a if that's a phrase.
Life is busy. We'll have some kid free time here pretty shortly. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a lot of negatives to like divorcing, and a lot of negatives to blending a family, hard things. But one of the good things is when you match up your custody schedules, your
Yeah.
schedules, and the other parent has all of our kids, it's like so nice. Like we get to have uninterrupted conversations and go to bed when we want and eat when we want. And it's super refreshing. So I'm excited about that. But we were going to talk about being apart because like I feel like we really like struggled this time and also like learned some stuff through the struggle. And I don't think it just applies to like, because I know there's people out there that are listening that have either are single or they have been married a long time. They're like, yeah, they're just mushy and they miss each other and all that stuff. But when I think coming out of the pandemic, when we've been together so much and you just get used to that and then you're suddenly apart, just life has it that way, then it is a huge adjustment. So I think people can relate
Yeah,
to it.
there were so many times that I thought of a funny joke or something, and I would like turn to tell you because you were always just right there, you know, and like I would just go, oh, you know, she's
Yeah.
not here, you know.
I tried to run away, but
But it was so then I was like, do I text her? Do I, like it was just weird not having you right there.
mhm.
And I learned how to work the vacuum,
Yeah.
and so I'm learning
He
stuff.
sent me pictures, so I'd have proof.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all that, my poo moment, and I kind of already talked with you a little bit about this, is that now that I'm back on the road and I'm posting so much more stuff on social media and stuff, like I am seeing that so many people are now just looking to be offended about something. Like they, you know, just and they voice their opinion and they think their opinion is the end all be all. Like we were talking about this earlier on the phone, but I think the 2020 lockdown, I think it made people be alone with their thoughts, and I think it created an entitlement to their opinions and stuff. So it used to be very like, I've got my opinion, you've got your opinion. And now it seems to be, I have my opinion and it should be your opinion. And I'm not going to let up unless it is.
We've actually had this discussion, the boys and I, the last few days or so, because Dylan, I don't know how I raised really opinionated kids being as docile and laid back as I am, but
Osmosis.
I have two really opinionated children, and the oldest one is really vocal about it. And so I'm trying to introduce to him the idea that of what an opinion is. Like that's not fact, that's opinion. And so I think that's how a lot of people are viewing whether it's their politics or their hair color. It doesn't really matter. Like their opinion seems to be like, no, this is how it is. I'm like, that's not really how it is. And if you have a dissenting opinion, then you're intolerant or unloving or unkind or whatever. And I think there just needs to be a whole lot more of like agree to disagree. Like it's not eternal. There's very few things that you're seeing blow up right now that aren't eternal.
Yeah. How so we've both been single. When like people are single in their later years and they get like set in their ways, like, what are you pointing at? Is there something on the screen? I know you're not pointing at me. Like I was trying to think of an example, but like, oh no, the towels have to be folded this way. I mean, I know that's a crazy example because nobody would like tell somebody else the way towels need to be folded, but the people get set in their ways, and I think
or like you have to have a trash can in the shower to collect any extra water. Like that's absurd. Nobody lives like that, but
yeah. Well, I mean, people that care about the earth, but that trash can's been out of the shower almost immediately when you moved.
Yeah. If you wanted to stay married, I wasn't going to shower with a trash can.
I did have a trash can in the shower because you turn the water on and it pours in while it's warming up. And then you take that water, which is clean water, and then you get a straw and that's what you drink the rest of the day. No, that's not true. I would pour it into the pool or water the plants or something like that. Because you get, I don't know, an extra gallon maybe a day. If you showered every day. Nobody does that either.
I think you should just water the plants outside with the water hose and shower at the same time. Or just use the pool. Like, don't even get in the shower.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about how my week went later. We were FaceTiming last night and I walked in and I was dripping sweat and I had grass all over me and I was just like nasty. And we were FaceTiming and you said, do not lay on our bed like that.
Because you walked into our bedroom. I'm like, oh my Lanta, you should have like disrobed at the back door.
Well, that's why I was going in the bedroom.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's the level that she thinks I'm at. That I'll finish mowing, dripping in sweat. Like I'd sweated through my shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And
gross.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, she thinks that I immediately think, oh man, after sweating through my shirt and mowing for 2.5 hours, you know, I'd feel good to lay on our clean sheets. Like that's what you thought.
Yeah.
I would do.
It was a definite possibility. That's not absurd.
Yeah. So I jumped in the pool first and then laid on the sheets.
Right.
So yeah, but I do like, there's so many people getting offended and it's not just me. I've talked to Hawkins. I've talked to a lot of other comedians. I've talked to a musician, a friend of mine that same thing. Like we're trying to put out all this creative entertainment just to bring joy to people. And there's always somebody like lurking in the shadows going, oh, I don't like that. Like I'm against that. Or that's, you know, you don't need to say that. And it's making me second guess putting stuff out there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how much do you cater to those voices? Because I feel like I've watched a few things blow up, like controversy wise, innocent things blow up in the last few weeks. And if you really, really comb through the comments, like there's more positive than negative, but like the negative seems to scream louder to the person that's receiving it. And so that's what I'm wondering. Like, I know that you comb through all of your comments on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And I mean, you take all of that in and there can be 1 out of 1,000 and that's what sticks. And so I'm wondering, like, how much do you like, I mean, not to use like a really hip term, but like shake the haters off. And then how much do you actually listen? Because you're not going to make everybody happy. And to me, the whole, like, if you don't want criticism, then don't put anything out into social media land. Like the idea that you can put anything out and not get any, like everybody loves everything you do. That's not, to me, that's not realistic. Or you don't have a big fan base. Like you have a really small fan base and they all love you. It's kind of like I mean, I can't even tell a joke in my own family and get everybody on the same page. So like when you put it out to tens of thousands of people.
That may be the material, but I get what you're saying.
No. It's good stuff. You wrote it.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, when I met your parents, like I was trying out some of my material to win them over and they were like, that's Sarah's bit. And I was like, she's been stealing my stuff. But no, that's a great question actually, babe. If I feel like I have hurt somebody, like there's a difference between offending people and truly hurting them. Like if I feel like I've hurt somebody's feelings with a joke or something, then I will drop it or I'll take it off or, you know, something like that. But if it's just something that I'm like, really, how did you leap to that idea to get offended by something? And then some things are just super topical. And so you want to say something about it, but you're going to get flack. You know, the big one that's happened lately was because, you know, it's June and so it's Pride Month and it is everywhere. Like it is all over, every commercial, every company, you know, even at the gym, they have rolling videos on their computer screens all about it. And I'm like, you know, they don't do that for Christmas. They don't do that for, you know, other stuff, but every company's like super embracing it. And so you're seeing the pride flag and all that kind of stuff. And I was at the airport and this lady sneezed and I said, God bless you. And she basically goes, no. And I was like, what? And she was like, I don't need your invisible God to bless me. And I don't want you, you know, forcing your beliefs on me and stuff like that. And so I actually kind of backed off and I was like, I'm sorry, you know, if I offended you. Cause she really just was like, do not force your, you know, way of life on me. And so then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, then it's happening to us. And so I put on Facebook, I said, I was once told by an anti-Christian to keep my beliefs to myself and not shove my lifestyle in other people's face all the time. I wonder how irate that lady is now, seeing Noah's rainbow slapped on every company this month. I really wasn't making a statement about anything except that it's the rainbow flag. And so I was kind of, the joke was that I was dumb enough to think that that was all, she didn't like my Christianity that I was, forcing on her. And so I was making the joke that I was dumb enough to think that the flag was Noah's rainbow. Yeah. I thought it was just innocent. And man, the haters came out of like, why do you hate these type of people? And, you need to not only, they didn't even want me to take the post down. They wanted me to write a formal apology to everybody, that was hurt or offended and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't let up. Like they continued for like a couple of weeks, just DMing me and talking about, what a horrible person I was. And I was like, it has nothing to do with other people. Like it was just I thought just a simple joke, but it does point out that, as a Christian, we're not supposed to, force our beliefs on people. You don't want to be, a Bible thumper is like, a bad term. Like you don't want to be a Bible thumper and, force all that. And then now the opposite is happening to us, but we're supposed to be okay with it and stuff. And so it's really, you just don't know when you put stuff out there. And so I try to think like, does it truly hurt somebody, or are they just, looking for something to be offended by? And so that's where I try to, figure it out. And I'll be honest, you're a big help in that. Like if somebody, criticizes like a joke I do it, on stage or something, then, I'll run it by you and be like, hey, do you think this is over the line or something? And you're a pretty good litmus test of, what is over the line or what's not. And,
yeah, I think by definition, your vocation and people like you that do what you do, that's what you're supposed to do to a certain extent, is offend people. Like offend may be the wrong word, but you're supposed to strike a nerve. And the broader group of people that you can strike a nerve with, they're laughing because, on the really good jokes, you're laughing because you're like, oh shoot, that's me. Or
yeah.
Oh shoot, I've done that. Like they're identifying with it to some extent. So, I think there is a line. The boys and I were watching a kind of a bio special on Jeff Dunham, the ventriloquist.
Mm-hmm.
And he has like a really long career and a pretty incredible story. But one part of the story was he chose to do this character that could have been career ending. Like it could have been misconstrued and it ended up offending some people. He had to tweak some stuff, but it was super controversial. And this is probably 20 years ago that he did this. And so the boys and I were watching it, and when they introduced the character, the boys, my boys 15 and 11, both went, oh, he can't do that.
Oh,
that was
really?
like their first reaction, not even watching like the outcome. They just he's introducing this new character, and they showed the character, and they were like, oh, how can he do that? He cannot do that. And I just thought that was really interesting, because I think it is kind of a generational thing that, like, I would say our parents and their parents, like you were a little more brazen with your opinions, and you didn't really, but also your opinion wasn't so far reaching. Like they would tell their opinion at church or at the coffee shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now the circle, now you put it out and it can go viral, so you're reaching people that, I don't know, I think your opinions were for people that you had relationship with, I guess I would say, generations ago. And now your opinions are for people that you don't have a relationship with. Like even Facebook, like I keep a pretty tight circle on my social media, people that I see and talk to often. If I ran into them in person, I would actually have a conversation. That's not the rule for everybody. So I have a pretty close-knit group. And even still, like I do not put opinions on my Facebook. Like I'm not going to convince anybody. So it's like, what is the point in a way? But also if it's something that's eternal, then I don't think American politics are eternal necessarily.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that like loving people, no matter what they look like or who they love, is eternal. But it gets hairy really quick. But I think you're in a unique position where you can't care too much, but also you put the label of Christian on your comedy. And so I think that takes it to a different level. There are a lot of comedians out there that are even Christians that don't put Christian on their vocation.
Yeah.
And so I think they can get away with things a little bit more. But I think as a Christian, like if I'm a teacher and I say I'm a Christian teacher, I'm a Christian whatever, I think it does hold you to a different standard. I really do. Because I think we are responsible for pointing people to Jesus and not doing anything that detracts from the gospel. That's just my opinion.
No, that's absolutely true. And ironically, the comments in the last couple of weeks, and it wasn't just about that post that I just said. There was several other things that I thought was so innocent, and then people just found reasons to, to pick it apart and stuff. And most of the comments, and this hasn't been in the past, like most of the comments now, one of the first things they say is, you're obviously not a Christian. Like they judge me immediately because I have gone against their opinion or said something that they deem controversial.
And that's what I was going to say, what you said earlier. I think Christians are way more judgmental than the world. Like it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm judged because I'm a Christian. Yeah, you try to do those same things and talk about those same things around some quote unquote church people, they will rail you. And the thing I think that church people miss is that, and I'm including myself in it, but like there's no what am I trying to say? Reconciliation. Like it's really hard to come back from. We have a dear friend that has done a really good job of coming back from messing up publicly, but that's not common. Like
right.
you look at musicians and comedians and people that are out, celebrity in the Christian world, and they messed up. Now I'm not saying, I mean, there are some really grotesque things that have happened, but forgiveness is not really an option. Like coming back from that isn't really an option. And I think in the world it is. I mean, if you don't get jail time, you can make another movie or whatever,
Yeah.
So I think it is a harder standard too.
Yeah. So when I first got in the business, there were a couple of controversy things that had happened with other, artists and stuff. And a couple of these artists have come, back and said, look, what I did was wrong. I fell into sin, and, I'm asking for forgiveness and all that. And there was so many people that I talked to was like, oh, he's lying. He's, he's faking it. He's not, sincere. And I'm like, do you know him? And they're like, no, but you can just tell. And I was like, aren't we supposed to like love on people if they really truly are repentant and, and want help and all that? And yeah, it's so interesting. And I just think it's getting more and more, again, going back to, I think people are becoming more entitled. And I do think it's because of what you said of, I used to be able to say my opinion and nobody would listen to me, in high school. But now if I have an opinion and put something out, it's going to reach a lot of people. And it's not just because I'm a comedian, it's just because we all have social media. And so, a gardener could come, back home and put something on Twitter, and it's going to reach more people than if he would have just, told his, small group or whatever. And so I think that just the more people get likes and, engage in a far reaching, platform, I think it brings about a sense of entitlement that their opinion is the end all be all. And I think that's kind of dangerous.
So one of the things that I try to do, because I can read stuff and get fired up and even type things and then I delete it. But one of the things that I try to do is if I'm getting ready to put something, usually on Instagram, because I'm just now back on Facebook. Thank goodness, after like a year. It's been glorious. But I run a question by myself and I say, if people disagree with this, if they criticize this and they disagree with whatever this is I'm putting out there, am I okay with that? And if I'm not okay with that, then I don't need to put it out there. Like I have a friend, a contact on both of those social medias that is very strongly for I'm trying not to like get the actual topic, but very strongly for something that I am very strongly against. And the first couple of times I saw it, it's like it's fine. I can't. Everybody gets to have their own opinion and blah, blah. But it's just like, and I'm not going to accept anything that disagrees with this. If you comment, it's that you disagree, you're going to get deleted and you're going to get blocked and you're going to get unfriended. And when they went to that level, I was like, you know what? I'm unfriending you because that's not a reasonable person. Like you can't. I just feel like that's when it is kind of shoving. Even if it's like that, to me, that's like being a Christian and saying like Jesus died for your sins, and if you don't accept him, I'm gonna block you and delete you. And then like that's not what Jesus did. He was very clear, but he had relationship with people and that didn't agree with him. In fact, he had relationship before he had opinion. And so it was just like it was really strong. So I think those two things, like just be open to criticism and disagreeing, and maybe be sensitive, like you're saying. Like if it's I couldn't do what you do because I read your comments and like I would take half your stuff down. Like I don't like people not liking me. Like I just don't. I probably would not put anything. I wouldn't have a career. I just wouldn't have a career. And honestly, as we've talked about, like me speaking with you or writing, or that's like my biggest block. And I'm even talking to a lady that kind of trains speakers and stuff and works, and like I'm just not quite prepared for backlash, or I don't know. It's not like I'm good in conflict. I don't mind people disagreeing with me, but it's just that the meanness. It's not in a spirit of like, let's bridge this relationship. It's in a let me tear you down because you don't think like me. And I'm just not quite ready, I don't think,
Yeah.
for that.
Well, you better get ready because I've already booked some shows for us together. So, but we'll talk about that later. You actually reminded me of something about 2 weeks
Well,
ago.
let's talk about making sandwiches and I'll be good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Talk about what you know and are good at.
Yeah, and offensive things. Okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
I did have a lady DM me on Facebook, and she had gone to a show, and I did a bit that I actually had dropped and wasn't doing it, but I had a couple of kids request me to do the bit, and so I did it. And there's a joke in there that was totally fine, and it's worked for years, but because of what's happening in this world right now, that joke could be misconstrued to be bad. And
Mm-hmm.
so she messaged
Bad? Or do you mean bad or do you mean
like
offensive?
hurtful to people. Like,
Okay.
and so, and obviously the joke wasn't even, like written with that in mind or anything, but because of certain things that have happened in the world, she wrote this message, and she wrote it in love. She was like, I love your comedy. It was a great show. But you did say this one line, and I wondered if you thought about how it could be perceived because of this. And I was like, you know what? She's totally right. And like, I'll drop, if I get requested to do that bit again, like I'll drop that line, because I was like, oh, I see her point. But she didn't start off with, how dare you call yourself a Christian and you'd say this line or anything like that. Like, she approached me in love and was like, this is how this could be perceived, and we only want the best of your show and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. So I am open. I obviously read everything, but I'm really open if somebody will like approach me as a brother and sister in Christ and be like, hey, look, I'm telling you this because I care about you, not, I want to tear you down, and, how dare you think that you are creating anything but evil stuff. All these comments are just terrible.
Well, and I think that's a good rule of thumb just in relationship at all, like dealing with people at all. If I come at you, which I'm saying this like the kettle, pot calling the kettle black. But if I come at you with a lot of criticism or angst or anger or judgment, and then try to elicit some sort of reformation or change in your heart, that the chances of that happening are very nil, because it puts you on the defense. But if I come to you from a place of love, I think this works in marriage. I think this works in friendship, in parenting. Your heart is much more receptive. And again, I'm going to go back to Jesus, because I don't get this right. Like, I'm not the example. I do not get this right. And this is another story, but I get a lot of opportunity to apologize. I am like Olympic gold medal level apologizer, sincerely, not fake apology. But I think that you have to have that love and that relationship with someone, or exude that, before they'll hear you. What, isn't it Bob Goff that says you grow where you're loved?
Mm-hmm.
I think he wrote that in one of the books that we've read of his, and that it's just so true. Like, it's just so true. And my personality bent is very black and white, right or wrong. This is how you need to see it. And a lot of things in life are black and white and right and wrong. A lot of them are, and I'm passionate about those things, but not everything is. And so, at the end of the scenario, at the end of the exchange, let's just put it this way, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, in the church parking lot, or the Target parking lot where nobody knows you're a Christian, what do you want people to walk away thinking? Not just about you or your career or your name, but like about Jesus. Like, are they going to think? And to me, like, I mean, I can already think of an interaction in the last 24 hours that didn't communicate that well. Like, I was frustrated and it didn't communicate that well. So, like, that, to me, it just, gosh, the filter is really fine. It's really fine, and it'll catch, if you're tuned in to the Holy Spirit and you're sensitive, and just be ready to be wrong. Like, just be ready to be wrong and apologize. Like, just get good at it, because you're human and you're imperfect, and your poop stinks worse than what's downstairs. And I think when you have that attitude, like, you're ready to change your opinion. Like, I'm very emphatic with my opinions, and they can change on a dime by someone that loves me and brings calm reason into the situation. And I'm a pretty tough cookie. So I would think most people, it doesn't even take that, like, I don't know. This is not what our topic was, and we're totally talking about it the whole time.
All right, let's get to our topic.
No, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's probably more relevant than what we.
Because I remember when we first started dating, like, I did realize that you were very opinionated, because I would get your text and emails and phone calls, and somehow you had a fax machine. And so I would get all your opinions. And this one thing that you were very opinionated on, and you asked me, like, why are you doing that? And so, and I don't always do the right thing. Like, I'm not telling this story to make me look good. I'm telling it to back up what you just said, because I think it, like, how you approach. And so I just, like, very lovingly, like, I totally see your side, but this is why I do it. And you were like, oh, I never thought about that. And you completely changed your opinion. I was like, oh, I love that you're passionate, but you're open to, I may have it wrong. I may, and so you're open to that suggestion. And I think that's, how we all need to walk this tiny pebble,
Yeah. I hope it soaks up. What am I trying to say? Spreads.
I hope it spreads like a dog with separation anxiety.
Yeah. In our home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're already almost at the hour. So
we are?
Yeah. So
okay. Well, no, I would edit that out, the time thing out. But I think this is a really good topic to put out there for what we've experienced, and I think what's floating around right now. The only other thing I would say is get off social media. Like, get off social media. There's literally not a career on this planet that's gonna die because you take time for yourself. And I'm saying like a month. Like a month. That, I mean, to salvage yourself. Like, you're not gonna wither up and die because you don't have interaction with people on the internet. And I'm talking to everybody, not just you, but you too. Like, I think it's just a good practice. I mean, I had like the shakes the first week or two of Facebook, but honestly, it's because a lot of my family members are on there that I don't, and friends that I don't get to talk to otherwise. But then I just got used to it, and it kind of was freeing. Like, no, I don't know what's going on. No, I haven't heard that. No, I haven't seen that, and I kind of liked it that way. But
Yeah,
like, to be so tied to it, that you're like, you think that's reality.
yeah. I was in, and of course, this is just a small example, and not everybody fits in this mold, but I was in Pettysville, Ohio, doing like this outdoor little festival thing. And there were these three kids in high school, and I just was talking to them, and they were so cool and making eye contact and joking around. And, we were talking about all these different events and all this kind of stuff. And then they, at the very end, they were like, can we get a photo? And so we took a photo, and I was like, okay, if you post that, will you tag me? And they were like, oh, we're not on social media. And I was like, oh, that's why you seem so well adjusted. And so, didn't have your face in a phone and all that. And like, I know I'm not saying social media is bad or any of that stuff, but I'm just saying, like, those kids seem to just be enjoying the moment. They weren't thinking about likes or, follows or any of that kind of stuff. I do have more to say on that, but we're almost out of time. So if you'll follow me on TikTok, I'll post some more videos, and just be sure to like and comment. But it's one of those things where you're like, it does help my career. So, but I don't want to get lost in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think especially at your point where people know who you are, and I literally, like, I almost want to like bet you, but I literally think that your social media could go away. Maybe everything, but let's say Instagram, and you would still have a fine career. People built really successful careers doing exactly what you do without social media. In fact, I would say they've hurt themselves by having social media.
Yeah, that's true.
At this point. I mean, you think about it, like, if people just showed up at a Shonda Pierce show and that's all they knew about her, if they just showed up at a John Chris show and that's all they knew about him, if they just showed up at a Bob Smiley show and that's all they knew, it would just be about the comedy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Versus, like, now you're putting yourself out there constantly, obsessively almost, in some people's cases. You're opening yourself up. And I'm a marketing person, so like, I understand exposure and getting your name out there and all of that, but I also understand like rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand like hours spent per dollar made. And I would challenge, unless you're just 5 million follower type person, I would just challenge that theory that it's actually like making you money. I don't, versus the amount of time that you're spending on it. Like, I think you could do something else and make more money than a video. But here's the thing. I think it feeds the ego. Like, you guys need an audience, right? And so what it does for you is it gives you an audience any second of any day. Whereas in the old days, you would have to work, like, you would have to show up to a show to get an audience.
Yeah.
Get somebody in a chair, that would be your audience. Now you just click Instagram Live or Facebook Live or post a video on TikTok and you've got an audience, quote unquote. Somebody's watching it. You don't know who, they're just a number. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I posted a funny video on TikTok. Well, I think I put it on all my social media, but like within a couple of hours, it had 19,000 views. And I looked at it and I was like, man, if you really think about that, if it's not repeat, not just some homeschool kid sitting and watching it over and over, like if that's unique views, that's like a small city, like 19,000 people saw me in that moment. and, you know, either found out about me for the first time or was reminded like, oh, he's out there doing, you know, doing funny stuff. And so it definitely, it can be good and it can be bad. You know, I think it's everything in moderation.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
All right, let's do our topic.
Your topic is bye. I'll see you in a few days. We did get a review. Can I read it?
We did? I didn't
Yeah.
even look. Yeah, so we did take a break because we just really needed to. My show schedule was kicking back up. We were, the kids are off, you know, from school, and we both, you know, both of us were traveling a lot, and it's just been pretty crazy. So we did take a little break. So we do appreciate everybody that's still contacting us and, you know, sending us messages and stuff like that. So, you know, I just want to
Thanks
thank
for
them.
hanging in there, and thanks for giving us, for giving us space to do that, because it is, for me anyway, it's necessary. I'm not used to the limelight, and like, what, this is fun, but this is not real life, you know. And we have a lot of real life.
Yeah.
A lot of kids. Okay, so I want to do two things. I want to read a review that we got on Apple Podcast. So if you listen to us on any of the apps, helping us get more listeners is fueled by ratings and reviews, especially if you do both. So click the stars and write a review, and that bumps us up and just helps us reach more people that we just talked about not really caring about their opinion. So I'm just kidding. So we care about y'all's opinions because you listen to us religiously. This is from Owen the Hunter.
Oh, already a fan.
Yeah, I thought you might appreciate that username. It says, this podcast is hilarious. Oh, the title was Great Podcast.
Okay.
This podcast is hilarious. Between Bob's detailed stories and, of course, the world famous comedian Sarah Smiley, makes this podcast the best out there.
Kind of regretting the comment earlier that I made. Like,
this podcast is funny, informative, real, and fun to listen to. So I thought that was pretty cute. There's another one, but it's editing it. I'm gonna read it just quickly. I love Bob's comedy and this podcast as well. I always listen to the new episodes when they come out and enjoy them immensely. Your podcast is funny and entertaining. Keep up the good work. So I thought that was good.
Nice. Who was that by?
That was by Sid Liffel.
I love the random weird names. Like, because you know there's a story behind it.
Well, maybe.
Maybe he was making a stew and a wiffle ball fell in.
Yeah, maybe the hand slipped on the keyboard. So, yes, those are really fun.
They call him Stew Wiffle, you know, from now on. So there's got to be a story behind that.
Sid Liffel. And there's some capitalized letters in there anyway. So thanks, guys, for listening and for giving us your review. The other is an email. I forwarded it to you yesterday. Did you see it?
Yeah. So we took a break a little bit, and then we did a podcast, and then we took a longer break. But I feel like both times that you approached me, it was like, okay, let's do a podcast, is because we were getting a really nice feedback from people. Is that true?
No, because this email, well, it's a bit old, but not old, but I don't know, weak. I mean, maybe I just, like, I have a lot on my plate and I don't remember about a podcast. So maybe it's a reminder. Like, hey, yeah, we have a podcast. I don't know. I'm not sure. Either way, probably, sure.
I kind of felt like
you're right. I'll just start.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I felt like if you got that encouragement or realized like, oh, people are, like really getting a lot out of this and stuff, like, I feel like it kind of spurs you on to be like, oh yeah, this is like something cool. And like you jump on it. I just wanted to, because you sent me that email and I read it and I was like, it's super cool. And then I think you texted me and was like, hey, let's do a podcast. And so I didn't know if that's what spurred you on or if you just realized that you had, an hour of not cleaning up doggy doo that you could schedule in to do a recording.
Yeah, I was thinking we've been apart, and the reason that I actually thought about podcasting is because I got my internet to work here,
Oh,
and I could actually Zoom call you. We've been without internet all week, so actually 2 weeks because camping we didn't really have it either. So yeah, but yeah, I do kind of forget that people listen, and yeah, since my career isn't like entertaining people, it's like taking care of kids
yeah.
and husbands. I kind of forget that there's like people out there. So it is encouraging. This is from, and he didn't say we couldn't say his name or read this. So I'm just going to say his first name though, just in case. This is from Kevin, and it says, Dear Bob and Sarah, first off, I want you to know that I'm a huge fan and have been a fan of Bob's for the last 20 plus years. I had the amazing opportunity to meet him and Tim Hawkins' show in Battle Creek, Michigan a few years ago. I was actually the one who sent you a custom named handmade soap on this visit for the potty break episode. Do you remember that?
I totally remember that. Yeah. So he makes soap, and he gave me like this bar of soap. I think it was like, I could be totally wrong, but I thought it had the name goat in it, or maybe it was made from goat's milk or something like that. But yeah, I totally remember that.
I feel bad admitting to this since at one point I was a verified super fan or whatever that's called on Facebook, but I've just started listening to the podcast and haven't been able to put it down. I've binged 10 episodes in the last day and a half.
Wow.
He's listened to more than I have.
Yeah, because he's listened to one.
I want to say keep up the amazing job. The encouragement and love the two of you have is so heartwarming. Thank you for all you do, and don't stop, Kevin. P.S. Thank you for bringing him back from the edge, Sarah. It's so amazing to see him back to the way he was before the dark time.
Yeah, I read that, and I was like,
really
because I really did my best trying to get through all that, but I did wonder how people, perceive me. Because first of all, I weighed like 132, and like I had bags under my eyes because I couldn't sleep, and I just like was dealing with a lot, and I just wondered, if people noticed or thought that, because I'd breeze into town, do some jokes, and then leave, but people were really like following my story and praying for us and stuff like that, and so I just thought that was super sweet that he kind of gave you props for. But I also thought, I wonder if he means like just fattening me up, like, because I gained so much weight after we got married.
You're so healthy now, though.
Yeah.
It's way better. It's a way better hug.
Yeah. It's not so, skin and bones.
Yeah. Like hugging a 2x4. So I wanted to let the fans know they can leave a rating like we asked. You can interact with us on Instagram at Hookline and Smiley. And the email we just read was sent to hooklineandsmiley@gmail.com. So reach out to us, give us some feedback, let us know you're still listening, because obviously I forget. And if there's anything, like, don't you think if there's anything they want us to discuss or talk about, they could send us ideas?
Yeah, give us topics and stuff. And we will get to those topics. Like, we're bad about getting, to our own topics, but if you send us a topic, we'll get it.
Yeah, I knew on the phone when you said, so my poo moment is when people just are entitled to their opinions. I was like, oh no, we can talk about that all day. Like, that'll be so, I knew we were going to get derailed. Our topic was being apart. We have been apart. We will be together probably by the time this podcast comes out, or within 24 hours.
Now, I'm going to try to get this podcast out because it's Wednesday.
Tomorrow?
I'm going to try to get it out tomorrow. And you are going to be home Friday morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. 6 a.m.?
Yeah. For the floor and the sheets and the toilet sake, yes.
Okay, that gives me, I need to know precise time so I know how much cleaning time I have.
Yeah, you need to start now.
Yeah.
You need to just go ahead and start now.
Yeah, I cleaned yesterday, and then I got up this morning and I was like, what happened? Because I've got these, two of my kids. Well, actually Coulter was over too. So all three of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they're going to have to help because they made the new mess.
They're not the tidiest crew. They're not.
Yeah.
They think it magically gets back to order.
I asked Xander, I was like, what can we do? And I was asking it facetiously. I was like, what can we do to keep things, more clean. And he was like, more trash cans spread around. And I was like, no, that's not like, go back and think about your answer and then come back and we'll try again. Just pick up after
Oh,
yourself.
I can't take ownership because I showed up late, but I pray for their wives daily because they're not getting a Bob Smiley out of those boys.
Yeah,
Those boys don't know a dirty dish or a laundry room. So
I
sorry, women.
I guess the whole point of that is I am a rare find.
You were a diamond in the rough that I have honed out and meticulously cut into a jewel. Yes.
Well, I'm ready for you to be home so you can hone me more.
I'm gonna hone you. I'm gonna hone the.
And edit at 1 hour.
I'm gonna hone the heck out of you.
All right, I love you, babe. I'm glad that you're there for your family, and I hope you eventually get the smell out of your nostrils before you come home, and the coconut out of your teeth. That's going to be very important.
See it?
It's
so good. If y'all don't know about these things, go get them. Medjool date rolls. They're so good.
Not a sponsor, but could be.
Like ham. Absolute ham. All right. I love you.
I love you.
I love you, listeners.
But me more? Hello? Hello?